I'm sorry, man. I blacked out for a second.
We love the field of 68 after dark. I listen to it all the time.
This is Duke head coach John Shire. Check out Field of 68 After Dark.
This is Xavier head coach Sean Miller. I highly encourage you to take a look at After Dark, led by the one and only John Henson.
Now, listen to you guys every morning when I'm getting ready. From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, this is Field of 68 After Dark. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Saturday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. We had a loaded, ridiculous, fun, unbelievable slate of college basketball that we have to talk about today. It felt for the first time all season like the madness is here. It's not quite March yet. We got about 3 days to get there. It's going to be unbelievable. I cannot wait for the next month. The next 5 weeks are the best 5 weeks in the calendar every single year. My name is Rob Dauster. I have with me John Henson and Jeff Goodman. This is the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live Sirius XM channel 84. That's College Sports Radio. Make sure you head on over to our YouTube channel, the Field of 68. You can find us there. We are answering questions in the chat. We're jumping in there during breaks. We're jumping in there for the afters. After we are done live, we have a Q&A session. If you want to hang out, talk with us, we will answer your questions. Before we get into it all, John, you mentioned this right before we started going live. You said that this was the most college basketball that you have watched in a long time. You were stuck on your couch for 11 straight hours watching nothing but college hoops, man. That's the life we leave. That's the life we leave here.
I kid you not. At 10 o'clock, I turned off all my devices. I set my alarm for 10:30, and I took a 30-minute nap because that is just the emotional roller coaster I went through today, just like buzzer beaters. I turned the Florida State game off. They're down 20-something. They come back and win. Carolina finally shows some spirit. Indiana puts the beats on. I had to take a nap. That's as simple as I can say it. I had to take a nap today.
Goodman, big takeaways before we get into anything else.
I mean, again, this is the last Saturday in which everybody's going to be playing a regular season game. Next Saturday, we have the low and mid-major leagues. A lot of them are going to be – some are going to be almost over. So this was a big one. There's a lot on the line, moving around for seeding, for bubble teams, for everything. And it just means more now. It means more as we get closer to Selection Sunday. You know, they say every game is the same. You're going to treat the first game as much as the last game. It just never feels that way.
Yep, it means so much more now because March is here. We got a lot to talk about. You guys mentioned all of it. You did my work for me. You did all the teasing. We got a lot happened in the ACC today, but we want to start in the Big Ten with what I think is probably the biggest game of the day, right? It's the rivalry game. It's Indiana against Purdue. It's Zach Edey against Trace Jackson Davis. And Jeff, you got the shirt on. There's a reason why you got that sweatshirt on. 79-71. Edey got the best of Trace Jackson Davis in the box score, but the Hoosiers completed the sweep of the Purdue Boilermakers. And right now, this is what they're saying in Bloomington. Hey, Purdue, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Man, I never would have thought this would have happened. Honestly, I mean, you know, how dominant Purdue is at Mackey. And I tweeted it before the game that, you know, it's probably like the second or third best home environment. You were there last week, Rob, with me. I mean, that student section's the real deal. It makes Carolina, John, look like the wine and cheese crowd that we talk about. But they're, you know, the bottom line was, and Rob and I saw this last week, right? When we watched Indiana play, Jalen Hood-Schifino made a real bonehead play down the stretch of that game where he basically just gave the ball to the other team. And then he comes back down the next possession and he hits a huge shot to help them win that game against Illinois at home. And you could just see the poise. And NBA guys told me this before the year when they went to their pro day. They all raved about his poise. You can't speed him up. Makes good decisions for the most part. Man, with Trace being a non-factor, a complete non-factor in the first half, Jalen Hood-Schifino, like, absolutely dominated the game in every which way. And to me, again, nobody in Purdue can guard him. That's the issue with Purdue for me. It's like, who's that athletic dude that you have that you can put on a guy like Jalen Hood-Schifino? They don't have one. I mean,
Hood-Schifino kind of took over towards the end. Every time it felt like Purdue was getting back in it, he had big shot after big shot. And, you wonder if this Purdue team is kind of like becoming like the LeBron against the Pistons. I don't know what year it was, where they're like, hey, look, we can let Edie get 40 and we'll win. Edie gets 40 and no one else does anything else, we will win the ball game. And so, I don't know if this is a game plan, but it looked like when Edie caught it in the middle, they were kind of letting him go one-on-one, and we got it down on the blocks. They were double teaming him, which, the more and more I look at it, I think a rush to Edie hook would be in the benefit of the other team. It's a 2-point shot. It's a low post move. Doesn't get the other team involved. Doesn't get the offensive team offensively involved. So it was an interesting game to see. Trace Jackson Davis not really play well, and they kind of just took over. Man, they were playing harder. They were trying to dunk on Edie. I mean, I think the fear factor is gone for Purdue now. They're gonna have to buckle up because it's about to get interesting.
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing was that I think what Purdue's game plan was defensively was they put Edie on Race Thompson and just basically said, we're not going to guard you. We're going to have two guys in the paint to take up space. Like when your help defender on Trace Jackson Davis is a 7'4", 290-pound national player, that you're like, you wonder why Trace.
Yeah, it was a wall.
Months, right?
It had a wall on Trace.
Yeah, he's a wall. And that, to me, that's why I was so impressed about this performance, because they basically just said, we're going to force Jalen Hood-Schifino to beat us at home in our building in this rivalry game, when every single one of those students has probably been drinking for like 7 hours before the game started, right? Like they were not sober when they walked in there. They were loud.
Those engineers have been drinking. Man.
They create the most innovative ways to drink.
Okay.
They don't just need their pint glass with a little bit of beer in there. That they get creative with it. And Hood-Schifino, I cannot tell you. I would go so far as to say that was one of the 5 most impressive individual performances that we're going to see all season long.
Because he did it at
better
Mackey.
than that.
He did it at
Mackey.
He did everything, like the pull-ups, shooting threes, rebounding, making good decisions. And again, here's what it came down to. Like you guys said, okay, Edie and Trace, we're going to kind of who else? Who's going to step forward out of those other dudes? And the Purdue guys just did not show up. I mean, Mason Gillis didn't do anything. Braden Smith really struggled. Fletcher Lawyer, Painter told us last week, he's kind of battled through a calf injury or something all year. And you could tell he's not shooting the ball well. And who, besides Jalen Hood-Schifino, Miller Kopp, a veteran, was solid. And Trey Galloway's, that was the key for me, as well as Jalen. Trey Galloway made some big shots to keep him in it, and kind of get it rolling in the second half.
Yep. All right, John, let me ask you this question. Let's assume that Xavier Johnson does come back, right? Yep. If you wake up on Selection Sunday and you see in your bracket that you have Purdue or Indiana in that bracket, who are you more scared of? Who are you more worried about playing when it comes to
I'm definitely more worried about Indiana, because I feel like there's a game plan for Purdue. Now, if you beat them or not is on you, but there's a game plan for Purdue, and you can beat them if you stick to a game plan. Indiana has that buzzsaw tendency where, you catch them on the wrong night and there's nobody that's going to beat them. They're probably not going to be a super high seed. So, I mean, they're going to have to play against a top team early, and I feel terrible for that team because they're peaking at the right moment. Hood-Schifino looks like a pro out there with the mid-range and just the floats and the way he handles the ball and just kind of gets into his bag. They're really good.
How good do you see him at the next level, John? Because
I was watching tonight and I was like, you know what? How tall is he? Is he 6'3",
6'5"? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he could be in the league, he would be a combo guard. He wouldn't be would he be a lead guard in the NBA?
He can play. Yeah, I think he can. I mean, I think he's the lead guard in the league.
Yeah, at 6'5", doing that. If he keeps going on that, he'll shoot up the boards. I don't know if he's a first rounder or not. I haven't paid attention.
Oh, he'll be a first rounder.
Okay, so if he keeps playing like that, the tournament is going to kind of solidify his spot. He could be one of those late movers as well, because he literally, I mean, he couldn't guard him tonight. I mean, just how crisp he was with his handle, the mid-range, the touch. He's tough.
Really tough, and improved three-point shot. He's had enough games where he shot it very well from three. that to me, I think he'll go in the lottery. I really do.
I do too. It's you know what's really impressive to me, Jeff, is he's the passing out of the ball screens, right? It's not every single time, right? And it's not every single possession. And I do think that he needs to develop his ability to be more than just like a mid-range pull-up shooter, because that's kind of what he is right now. Extend that range, be more consistent from three, be a better passer, but he can make those reads. You can see him as he's coming off a ball screen, just kind of reading like, okay, the tagger's right there. This guy's in drop. I'm going to have the floater, and the floater's not there. All right, I'm going to fire it over to the weak side corner, right? He made a couple of those passes. You could see him kind of processing that. So I think that it's there. I honestly, I said this like 3 weeks ago. I think Indiana is a very real Final Four threat because they have all the pieces that you need, especially if they get Xavier Johnson back and Xavier Johnson can provide anything.
Okay, so can I stop you there? Can I stop you there on one thing?
Okay.
Do they want Xavier Johnson back at this point? With 2 games left in the regular season, do I want him back with the way they're playing right now and the roles that I'm not sure I want him back. I don't know. I like Xavier Johnson.
It depends on if he's going to buy in. It depends on if he's going to buy in.
Well, what about the health? Not even the buy in.
Woodson's an NBA guy. He might work him back in there slowly and see what happens. And he might
slowly. You got 2 games left.
Hey, look. Hey, have him come off the bench, play some spot minutes, see how he fits in.
But here's the thing with that. Here's the thing with that. If he doesn't play again, Rob knows this too. We're in Bloomington. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't play another game, there's a chance he could get another year, come back, be the guy next year because Trace is gone and Jalen's going to be gone.
Yeah.
So he could be, if he gets a waiver, come back, be the guy, be at 100% rather than come back, play it 50% or 75% for 10, 12 minutes, and then any sort of even a 2-way option would be very, very difficult.
Yeah. Well, the big thing for him, I think, if you want to talk about what like this year, just Indiana this season, it's the buy-in. Like, does he care more about winning or more about proving how good he actually is? Right. And I will say this about Purdue. I kind of think that we should have seen the writing on the wall here, right? I'm going to roll through who their wins are in Big 12 and Big 10 play. They're 8-0.
Don't do it.
They're 8-0 against the bottom 4 teams. And they are 1-3 against the other teams that are in the top 5 of the league. That is Northwestern, that is Maryland, that is Illinois, and that is somebody that I'm blanking on in the. They didn't play Illinois yet. So, but the other top 5 teams, they are 1-3 against them. They've had a very favorable schedule when it comes to the breakdown of the Big Ten. So, I'll be curious to see what happens to them when they get into March. I think a lot of this is just legs. We do have to touch on really quick. This wasn't the craziest game of the day in the Big Ten by a long shot. Okay. Michigan State went into Iowa, hit 11 of their first 13 threes with 1 minute and 34 seconds left on the clock. They made 2 free throws and they took a 91-78 lead and they lost. They were down. Iowa was down by 11 with less than a minute left. They came back to win in overtime. They hit 5 threes in the last 55 seconds, right? It is the second biggest come from behind win in the history of Division I college basketball. The biggest, Jeff, Texas A&M came back from 12 down against Northern Iowa to win in double overtime in the 2016, I believe, NCAA tournament. That was after Northern Iowa hit that half court shot to beat Texas. Unbelievable, insane. I can barely wrap my mind around the fact they scored 23 points in 1 minute and 34 seconds. Jeff, where do you stand on this?
Well, I just can't believe this happened to Tom Izzo. Like, think about that. Of all coaches for this to happen to, Tom Izzo blew this lead, right? Like Iowa, we know they got shooters, but Tom Izzo, a Hall of Famer, let this happen. And, listen, the bottom line is these things can happen. Iowa's got a bunch of dudes. Peyton Sanford, when he gets going, he can make shots. Chris Murray made one. I think both McCaffreys made one. I mean, it was everybody for that team. I will still say, even though Michigan State blew this one, okay, I like the Spartans come March. I like the Spartans in the NCAA tournament watching them. I think they have the pieces. Tyson Walker was awesome in this game, right? Jaden Akins played well in this game. Those are, to me, Jaden Akins getting back to what he was you've got now Walker, Hogard, Akins, Hauser, Malik Hall looks healthy. Like I still wouldn't write them off at all. I think this was a one-off. It happened. It was shocking. And I think it was all inspired by what? The Fran glare. The Fran glare was absolutely, that's why this happened. So from now on, Fran, just go up to the official. Don't even wait. Go up to the official before the game.
Explain what happened for the people listening at home. Explain what happened.
Well, like, I don't even know. I don't know what triggered it. All I know is,
so what happened is he was mad at the official, right? There's about a minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. It's 91-81. And the camera just catches him standing like this, staring straight in the eyes of the official. And he
Kelly Pfeiffer
keeps walking towards him. When he gets about 8 feet away, the ref is like, nah, I've had enough of this. And he just walks straight to him, looks right back in his eyes. And it's like, what is going on? It felt like that scene in Breaking Bad.
That should be a tech. You can't walk down the ref. You can't walk down the ref like that. I mean, they were at home. I was watching the game being as a frequent gambler. The shots Michigan State were hitting, I was like throwing my hands in the air like, okay, it's one of those games. I mean, they were hitting threes. They were kind of wire to wire winning. I actually turned the game off. I was a little annoyed. And turn it back on. It's like, he misses the free throw. They hit the three. I mean, it was a classic type game. And if I'm on Michigan State after Tom Izzo, maybe Tom Izzo's checked out maybe a little bit, because I've been in games where like the only way they can beat us, fellas, is if they hit threes. They cannot beat us on layups. It's impossible. So that should have been the message throughout the huddle. Guys, if they hit layups, we will win the game. Yeah. So it's frustrating when you see it. The March Madness preview, I guess, because I don't think there's going to be a last of some crazy comebacks, because that's what it's gearing up to be, a crazy, crazy March.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm with you, both of you guys. I do like Michigan State when it comes to March. There's a reason why we say that it's January, February, Izzo, April, right? Like he finds a way to get it done. I like the way this team is built. You got to have multiple guards. Listen, we're going to come back in a second. When we do, we're going to be breaking down this entire Brandon Miller, Alabama, this whole saga. The drama just took it to another level this tonight.
For 90. Trevor, what do we got?
Rob's 0 for 1 on teases, Trevor.
I was just about to say that.
0 for 1. That was awful.
Okay.
I've never claimed to be good at this. What do you
Henson, you good at teases?
What was that?
Henson doesn't even know what a tease is.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, how high do you guys think Indiana can climb on the seed lines?
After winning in Mackey, I think that probably is enough to jump you up at least 1 seed line. They were a 4 for fielding the 68.
Yeah, you're a 3 now. You could probably get to a 2 if you run it now.
You got home Iowa, home Michigan. None of those are really going to help. I think
it was 5 last week.
Yep.
My handy dandy. Look
at that! There you go.
Look at that.
You know what I'm saying?
Printed it out.
This is all I go by. I don't know. Joe Lenardi, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you should.
Should Purdue fall off the 1 seed line? Follow-up question there.
If they lose early, maybe.
Probably.
If they lose early into the tournament. Tournament.
Right now. 30 seconds.
Yes, should they no longer be a 1 seed?
UCLA can catch them.
Right. They'd be the only one right now, I think, that would jump them today. Because it's Alabama,
20 seconds.
Kansas.
Yep.
Those are locks right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of the other twos can make it. Like you need Texas or Baylor to win the Big 12 tournament.
10.
Really have a chance.
Focus, Rob. Focus.
I've never been more focused in my entire life.
5, 2, 1. Mike's hot.
Welcome back. Field of 68 After Dark. We are here live. Sirius XM channel 84. That is College Sports Radio. We are live over on the YouTube channel. We are presented by our partners, Bet River Sportsbook. Guys, I didn't want to have to talk about it. I thought that we might have moved past this, but Brandon Miller decided to bring this conversation right back to life with the decision that they made at the start of the game tonight against Arkansas. First and foremost, Alabama beat Arkansas 86-83 at home. But the story and the talking point of this game was what happened at the introductions. We know what has led into this, right? We don't need to rehash it. We don't need to go over the details. That story has been beaten to death. It has literally been the biggest talking point in all of sports across any sport for the last 5 days. And what Brandon Miller did was, as they came out through the teammate tunnel, the line during introductions, he came up, got to the end, put his arms out, and was pretended to be frisked by one of the walk-ons at the end. This is, Jeff, apparently something that they have been doing all season long. It is something that we see at different levels of the sport. It is not an uncommon occurrence, but the lack of awareness, the lack of any kind of sense, the lack of decency to understand that doing that, what looks very much like you're getting patted down to see if you have a weapon on you, given the circumstances of what happened with Alabama, Brandon Miller, Nate Oates, and this program, is something to me that is entirely unacceptable.
Yeah, and Nate Oates said that afterwards. He said it's not appropriate. It's been addressed, and I can assure you it will definitely not happen again for the remainder of the year. You know, listen, they should have been talked to about it. Obviously, the walk-on Adam Cottrell and Brandon Miller certainly should have known better. It's just another kind of PR nightmare here for this program that's dealt with a bunch of them here lately. And, you know, again, at some point, you know, they've got to be on top of all this. They've got to be on. And if I'm Brandon Miller, I gotta look in the mirror at this point and say everything I do right now is going to be scrutinized. Everything, whether it's pregame introductions, whether it's every social media post I do. We're watching. Everybody's watching every move you make. Just the reality right now. So Brandon, just be smart. You can't let this happen. Adam Cottrell, man, what are you thinking? What do you think? And I've heard nothing but great things. I talked to people around that program today. Great kid. Made a mistake. But unfortunately, it's been mistake upon mistake upon mistake. So it obviously gets magnified a lot more.
Yeah, look, this level of stupidity and indifference to me is absolutely unacceptable. There's three things that you need out of Brandon Miller and out of this Alabama program right now, given everything that's happened: common sense, compassion, and decency. Considering the fact that a player in this program was killed with a weapon that was brought to the scene by Brandon Miller. You have to understand that in this context, right? Compassion, common sense, and decency are the only things that you need to do. And this was the exact opposite of that. Imagine you are Janae Harris's parents. Imagine the image that you are seeing is Brandon Miller after all of this happened, who was the one guy that could have prevented that death from occurring, or not the one of the people that could have prevented that death from occurring, standing there with his arms out like this, pretending to be frisked by a teammate. Imagine that you have to go take care of her 5-year-old son because that kid's mom isn't there, right? Imagine being one of her parents and you see that happen. I would be absolutely incensed if I was them. And to me, that is the biggest issue here. And I'm sorry, John, just one more thing real quick, because I have an issue with Nate Oates' statement at the end, right? He said, I don't really know. I don't watch our introductions. I think this is something that's been going on all year, right? We've defended Alabama and we've defended Nate Oates on this program before. And the reason that we are doing it and the reason why I have been on that angle, I don't want to speak for you, Jeff, I'm going to speak for myself here, is because we are trusting that when Alabama says they are operating in good faith, they mean it. We are trusting them when they say they're playing Brandon Miller, despite the fact that he delivered this gun to Darius Miles, right? We are trusting that they are being truthful when they say that Brandon Miller was too naive and too oblivious to realize what he was doing and the risk that he was taking when he is doing it, right? And this is not the first PR nightmare that they had. You mentioned this. Nate Oates said in the press conference, essentially, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And their excuse there was more or less, he didn't know. And that to me is the issue. Alabama's asking us to trust them while also saying, oh, look, our bad, we didn't know, 2 different times in the 2 biggest mistakes that they made. So if they are asking us to trust them, do they really know what Brandon Miller's intentions were that night? That is the problem right there. All of this hinges on our trust that what they are telling us is the absolute truth, no questions asked. And how do we know we can trust them when they have gotten 2 things wrong of this magnitude? That's my issue with this. You cannot get this wrong. That is unacceptable to me.
Yeah, two things. I mean, Rob, I was talking to you when I was in North Carolina. We had media sensitivity training, and we thought that was the dumbest thing we'd ever done. But it prevented situations like this from happening if something were to happen. And we know in reference to Nate Oates and Brandon Miller, this isn't your 10-decade ago Alabama. You guys are arguably the best team in the country, championship contenders. So the scrutiny is just only going to be more and more. So they completely bobbled and mishandled that situation. Even the first statement, even if Nate Oates just puts out a statement said, I'm just gathering more information, right? Just to give him a little time. And with the frisk down, they've got to be smarter than that. They're 18-year-old kids. They're probably not even relating it to what that really means, but that's part of the program. It's part of his leaders on the team. It's part of his teammates and everyone around to nip that in the bud. So, because at the end of the day, someone did lose their life due to an action of one of your players. Now, it wasn't illegal per se, but there needs to be a little more sensitivity. There needs to be a little more intelligence in how they're handling it, and they're bobbling it right now. So hopefully they can come out. I don't know if Miller has even made a statement out yet. He probably should say something as well.
He has not. He hasn't, and you're probably right. I would say, but I'm sure his lawyers are telling him not to. They put out a statement for him, basically.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they've got to figure that out because this is not your run-of-the-mill Alabama anymore. You guys are one of the best teams in the country. So you will be a magnascope, a telescope will be on you guys from here until the end of the season. And now you've got people not on your side, and that's tough as well. Even with parents and recruits, people are seeing this and how you react to certain situations, and so hopefully they figure it out. Nate Oates, go get you a PR guy. You're one of the big boys now. So you got to act like it.
Well, they weren't prepared. That's the biggest thing is you learn from mistakes, and I think they've learned that they do need a PR person. That yes, Nate Oates probably doesn't watch pregame, but other people do. The other guys on the staff do. They got probably three assistant coaches, an ops guy, a bunch of managers, a bunch of GAs. There's a lot of eyes on that thing that should have been able to say, hey, you know what, guys, that pregame thing you've been doing all year, no more.
It can't happen. It shouldn't have happened. It never should have happened. And I think that's something that we all can agree on. All right. I do want to pivot back to basketball. I got that. I said what I needed to say. I got that off my chest. Nick Smith tonight had 24 points on 23 shots. He is now averaging 25 points over his last two games. And it seems like he has finally kicked into gear. With him back, Jeff, I know that they lost, but how good do you feel about what this Arkansas team is right now and where they can be in a couple of weeks?
I mean, listen, if Nick Smith keeps getting more efficient, he was last game, but it was against Georgia, so I'm not sure how much stock I put in it. But to have this team go into Alabama, and it was the right time. Let's face it, playing Alabama today at Coleman was the right time to get him. And Nick Smith, for those that don't know, Nick Smith and Brandon Miller played together on an AAU team. So there was a little bit of a rivalry there. They're friendly. I remember talking to both of them earlier this year. They're still pretty close. But yeah, I think their upside is, can they get to a Final Four? I don't know if they can go that far, but I think they're definitely a second weekendish team that, depending on if they can get Nick Smith, Devo Davis, and Council going at the same time, which they were today, they're beating most teams. They're beating most teams if they do that.
Smith Jr., I kind of took a close eye on him because he's one of the players I really wanted to watch. And, because he hasn't played a lot, he's making early season mistakes that freshmen now aren't making, whether it's kind of forcing certain things, taking bad shots. At the end of the game, he kind of saved them per se from they had a chance, but they were not the just cream of the crop best shots. He was forcing things. He got to the rim a lot and kind of flailed a little bit. So Arkansas looked like a team to me that they haven't grown or learned from early in the season. And now they're all coming together. And those mistakes, because if Arkansas doesn't make a few mistakes and bad shots down the stretch, turnovers, they're right there in the mix for that game. So Alabama had to put up almost 60 points to beat them in the second half. So I think they have a high ceiling per se, but I don't think they get far in March. They make too many mental mistakes. I didn't like their IQ. Nick Smith's kind of playing to win, but he's also playing for his stock as well. So it's an interesting balance that he's going to have to figure out.
See, I think if he was playing for his stock, he wouldn't have come back.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, maybe so, maybe not. I mean, who knows who's in his ear. But today I felt like Nick Smith was trying to just, hey, look, I'm in my bag. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt he was playing today. Brandon Miller, defensively, he was reaching a little bit when, come on, this is your old teammate. You know if you can rip this guy, you know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to see how he improves over the next couple of weeks, but yeah, he's probably got 2-3 games left, and he'll be a top 5 pick, man. So
I'm in on them. I'm in on them. I don't know about I'm all the way in on Arkansas, and I know they didn't win today, but the reason why is this: Muss always does this, right? He always lulls us to sleep and always convinces us that they aren't good. They play like shit in January, and they find a way to turn it on. Now, I think they're turning it on a little bit later this year because they didn't get Nick Smith back until what was it, mid-February? I think it was Valentine's Day that he came back, right? But they have probably 3 guys that are going to get drafted, 2 lottery picks, another 5-star in Jordan Walsh. Devo Davis is still there. The Mitchell twins have kind of figured out how they can be, impactful. Graham is at the Jalen Graham at the 5. Like they got some players, they got some pieces, and Muss knows how to. He's great at identifying mismatches and attacking those mismatches. So I'm going to turn it back to you guys. You got to back one of these teams, okay? You got to put all your chips in right now. Henson, you got to go on to your Bet Rivers account, and you got to bet everything on one of these 2 teams to go farther in March. Arkansas or Kentucky, who beat Auburn by, I think they were up by 40 at one point. I don't even know what the final score was. I probably should have that in front of me and be prepared, but that's not the way that we do things. So, Goodman, Arkansas or Kentucky? You got to bet the mortgage on it.
Whew.
Oh, boy. Shit. I'll go Arkansas. You know why? What do you think my reasoning is going to be?
They got studs and guards.
They got the better coach. That's what
Fair enough. Fair enough.
They got the better coach.
It's not a big difference, but I'm gonna go Arkansas as well. I like how they play. I like their backcourt. I like their bigs. They're a little more solid than Kentucky. Kentucky will spin you for a loop. They might lose. They'll spin you for a loop. But I feel like Arkansas is who they are, and that was a good point you brought about Musselman in March. He sneaks around, and all of a sudden it's the Elite 8. He's in the Elite 8. So I like Arkansas.
Yeah, they don't blow you out too, right? They'll struggle with teams, but they'll just find a way to get it done. They win. Like they just find a way to get to the Elite 8. Listen, I want to talk a little bit more about Kentucky. On the other side of this break, we're not only going to talk about Kentucky. 2 other blue bloods looked really impressive today. North Carolina, Duke. We got to figure out what's going on in the ACC, man. It's the John Henson special.
Clear for 90.
Well, give me a grade on that one. That was like a solid B-, right?
No, that was like a C.
Come on, that was decent.
The other one, first one might have been an F.
Yeah, it was terrible. But what do you want? The second one, I go C. You got to work your way out. You're not at the B level. You're getting better. I think you're just a hater. Trevor, give us some questions. What do we got?
Oops, we lost Henson. Let's see. Is Painter no longer coach of the year in your guys' eyes?
Shaka smart. I think it's Shaka. Even if Purdue had won today, I would go with Shaka. I think
Shaka. 1 minute, and it's hard now. Like I think NATO's in the equation before all this, but I think now it's like all this other stuff probably takes a little bit off of.
I think Bill Self, honestly, like he's definitely not going to win it because you can't win it if you're Bill Self at Kansas. But what the job he's done with this team. And these guys to be.
Can I give you one? Can I give you one that you can make a case could really be in the mix to win it?
No, you cannot.
Chris Collins.
30 seconds.
Like, fight me on it. Go ahead, try to fight me on it.
I hate that I can't.
You can't.
You know I want to, Goodman,
but you can't because he's doing the most with the least.
He's doing his thing for sure.
How about Boo Booey, huh? That kid can go, man.
10 seconds.
That kid can go. Although I am torn. I would have hit that 10 Road Warriors parlay. Fucking great.
2, 1.
Field of 68 after dark. Rob Dauster, John Henson, Jeff Goodman. We are live. Sirius XM channel 84. That is college sports radio. We're live over on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. Jump in the chat, ask us questions. We will be here for the afters until about 12:15, 12:30. It's going to depend. We got a lot to get to tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Presented by our partners over at Bet River Sportsbook. All right, guys, we got to talk about the ACC. Duke is rolling. Pitt is all alone in first place. Miami had the biggest lead in the history of ACC basketball. But Clemson won by 1 million at NC State, but I'm clearing it. I'm clearing out the floor. All right, we're calling the ISO. It's the field of 68 after dark ISO. John Henson, mid post. All right, we're letting you get your Carmelo on right now. North Carolina, are they back?
So let's
back?
Let's shout out Hubert Davis to Sensei. He meets with Pete Nance. He says, and Pete Nance says he likes lemon Oreos. So he brings Pete Nance lemon Oreos to the game today. Pete Nance essentially is what kind of got the game rolling. He hit 3 threes early. And Virginia's a team, if you can get up on them and speed them up a little bit, it's going to be tough for them to come back. And North Carolina kind of never looked back. Baco was his usual self. RJ Davis looked good. Caleb Love could have been a little more efficient, but defensively he was playing really hard, so I can't knock him for that. And they beat a number 6 ranked Virginia team that, North Carolina is, I think Jay Billis said they went from must win to can't lose. So that's what they were dealing with against today. They look like the North Carolina of old potentially, but we just need to see what happens. They've got to win out. I think they at least got to get to the ACC championship to solidify themselves as a tournament team. But I like what they did today. Wire-to-wire win. They played well. They played together. Defensively, they played well. Low-scoring game. We usually don't thrive in those type of games, but today was different. Happy for my Tar Heel boys. Glad we could finally get on here and talk positive about them because it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
It's been
a while. So
you know what I love
got
though?
Nothing else to say. Hey, we can't lose anymore. It's going to be fun to watch their journey because I think they're the one team everybody's watching like what's going to happen to them. So
I'll tell you this much: your tournament has started now, right? Like you got to win out. You got to win out.
Got to win out. So we'll see. At Duke is going to be good too because Duke is playing at such a high level that if we can beat them at their place,
at your place.
Is it our place? Okay,
yeah.
Well, it would do wonders if we could beat Duke. It would do wonders.
I'll tell you this. You know what's funny about that whole little speech that you just had is you said Armando Bacot played like his normal self. RJ Davis played like his normal self, and then you said Caleb Love could have been a little bit more efficient. Like that's not his normal self.
Right? Okay, Caleb wasn't, but defensively he showed some grit.
Yeah. He got after it, man.
And Pete Nance, I don't know. Pete Nance had like 4 or 5. They did their thing today.
For the record, if you like lemon Oreos, you are a sociopath.
I like lemon Oreos.
I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah,
Jeff, where did these come from?
Explains a lot, Jeff.
They're on the counters. They're there.
Lemon Oreos are very a light cookie with yellow cream inside. Yeah. Eating that is what do you drink it? You just dry?
Dry. Maybe a Diet Coke or something.
See what I'm talking about? Pete Nance. I got to talk to Larry. I got to figure out.
All right. So here's my deal. Here's my deal on Carolina. When the shots fall, which they never do from 3, they're pretty good. The problem is it's kind of fool's gold this year, right? Like they'll do it for a day like this at home. Pete Nance makes them. Other guys other than Caleb Love make them. I think they were 9 of 16 from 3 in the first half, right? When they shoot, here's the stat. When they shoot better than 35% from 3 as a team this year, they're 8-0. There's the stat. It's fairly simple because they only have a couple guys that can potentially shoot it. They have too many non-shooters on this team for the most part. And again, they don't have a bench. They won today without, I don't know if they had any fast break points. I don't know if they had any.
No one gets fast break points against Virginia.
You're Carolina. I know.
It's so weird. Yeah. It's so weird not seeing that secondary break being ran. Because, a lot of times, when I played, we could make a lot of mistakes and we could mess up a little bit because there was such a high possession, high tempo, high paced game. So now, you're playing these low tempo, non-fast break games. You have to be ultra efficient, which Carolina is far from. So I don't know if this formula is sustainable, as Jeff said, maybe fool's gold. But all we got to do is what? We just got to catch heat for about 7-8 more games. That's it. Is that asking for too much?
All right, let's talk big picture ACC.
Probably.
The Pitt Panthers Goodman, the Pitt
What is going on?
Panthers are all alone in first place because Miami blew a 25-point lead at home to Florida State. And Virginia just lost by 15 at BC, and they just lost by, well, I don't even know what the final score was, at North Carolina. Clemson has been playing not very well at all. And honestly, at this point, I think Duke might be the hottest team, the most dangerous team when it comes to March. I don't know. What do you make of the rest of this league as a whole, Jeff? Because I throw my hands up on this.
I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be really nice. It's mediocre. Okay. And that's as kind as I can put it for the ACC because let's face it.
It's mid. It's
Yeah,
mid.
I mean, like,
it's mid.
I mean, I could say it sucks, but I'm not going to go that far. Even though Carolina is not very good this year. Listen, in a league again where Carolina's not great, not good. Duke's okay. And Virginia's not even winning this league right now. Like you would think Tony Bennett with a good Virginia team would run away with this shit. Run away with it. And instead, they're not even in first place. They lose at BC. And now they lose again today to Carolina at Carolina. Pitt, listen, this whole thing this year was wide open for something crazy to happen in the ACC. And Jeff Capel and Pitt and Jamarius Burton have taken advantage of it. That's what Burton's been awesome. And if they win the league, he should be Big East Player of the Year. I mean,
Big East, huh?
Big
East,
Player of the Year. I'm thinking Pitt, Big East. I'm thinking Sam Young and all that.
If you look at the schedule, are we gonna have a Pitt Miami first place showdown?
Yes.
On Saturday?
Probably.
That is
Scary.
wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
For the ACC championship, Pitt at Miami. Let me ask you guys this. Is there a team in this league that you think can make the deepest run? Is there anybody in this league that you think can make the deepest run? Goodman, I know you've been all over the Miami bandwagon. Are you still on that train, even though they can't protect a 25-point lead at home against Florida State with the ACC regular season title on the line?
I mean,
that's a bad one, man.
Yeah, that's not a good one. I mean, Florida State's a different team than they were when they couldn't win a game early. But
doesn't matter. 25-point lead at home with the ACC title on the line.
But they still have.
You could be playing the Warriors, and that's not acceptable.
Pack didn't play, right? Like, so they still have Wong and Miller and Pat. Like, they still got enough to make a run to another Elite Eight. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they can. Duke can. Virginia can. Carolina cannot.
I think it's matchup driven. I do like Duke and UVA. They're playing well. I guess we are just hoping for miracles, but miracle did happen last year for them being up 15 in the national championship. So,
right. And for the league, it happened last year. Remember, we said the league sucked all last year, John, and they ended up getting 3 teams into the Elite Eight and one in the title game.
Yeah, no, that was. I'm just hoping for a run. I'm an ACC biased guy, so. We usually show well in March, so hopefully we do the same thing this year.
All right. I teased this before. I'm going to make sure that we play this game because I want to put Henson on the spot. I cannot wait to see what he's going to say. Buy, hold, or sell. You got to pick one for one each. You got to pick one of each of them. North Carolina, Duke, and Kentucky. Who are you buying? Who are you holding? And who are you selling?
Or Henson.
This is a setup because if I say the wrong thing, it's going to look biased. So I'm going to probably buy Duke, unfortunately, sell North Carolina and hold Kentucky. I think that's as simple as.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
I want you to hurt to say that.
It sucks, but I think Duke is playing really well right now, really well. So I'm going to buy them. Kentucky, I'm still iffy on. I'll put them in my pocket. And UNC, I think when you bring up those efficiency numbers, no fast break points, those outlier performances where they hit a bunch of threes and they win, they only done it in 8 games. You got to sell on them. If I was a betting man.
Goodman.
I can't believe, honestly, I'm not sure Henson's ever going to be allowed back in Chapel Hill after this. Like Franklin Street, they're going to throw eggs at you from now on.
Oh no, they love me. Look, man, hey, listen, I put the Carolina meme on today dancing. You know what I'm saying? I knew it was about to happen today.
I would say, to me, I will buy Duke, I will hold Kentucky, and I will sell Carolina. And my problem with Carolina too is I don't enjoy watching them play. Like, it's hard. It's like going to the dentist watching them play. Now, when they make shots from 3 today, it's a little bit easier, but I still want to see these dudes like chest bumping when they're winning like they were winning today. Like, wouldn't you be like that, John? If it had been this shitty of a year, all year, and you had a first half like you had today, wouldn't it be like mayhem? You'd be chest bumping everybody, big hugs. Like, it would be like euphoria. And it was still like the same, like, like whatever.
I was always kind of, with kind of we used to say pressure bust pipes. And I think the pressure has gotten to Carolina. There's so much, external pressure going on with them. Hubert's been trying to preach a message of enjoy the moment. I think he gave the guys weight vests and had them walk on the court and said, see how hard it is to play when you have so much weight on you. So I think you got to enjoy the moment. I went to the NIT my freshman year, and we ended up having 2 number 1 seeds my next 2 years, 3 or 4 lottery picks, 7 first rounders. So it's not the end of the world. You want to play hard, play together, and hey, look, if you guys do what you need to do, this could be one of the more fun periods in your life where you get to the tournament, you make a run, and people count you out. So I don't think by any means they should be down on themselves. This is a weird, wonky college basketball-y year. You guys did go to the Final Four last year. Enjoy that moment, and hey, let's strap it up and do it again. And like Jeff said, let's have a little fun with it. Let's have a
You're
little fun.
Loose now. At this point, everybody's counted you out.
You got nothing to lose.
Go have
nothing to lose. You mentioned external pressure. John, there is no more pressure. Everyone thinks you suck at this point. Like everyone has written you off. Your season has been over. They dug the hole. They threw the North Carolina resume in there, and then they buried it. They did the John Henson meme dance on the grave. That's what they did.
Walking around on that campus is a different beast. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's a whole different bubble you're in. You're the celebrities. You're the most scrutinized. People ask for.
Hey, how many drinks did you pay for in your entire time in Chapel Hill? How many drinks?
I paid for drinks, but they might have just been highly discounted, maybe like $1. So, it's one of those things where you got to block it out and lock in with your guys, because when you go to those restaurants and you go to those spots and you go to these places in these classrooms, people are looking. And the football team is looking pretty good over there, and I know they're in their ears. Hey, looking like we might be the guys, which they did with us as well. I know what happened, so it's just part of the game, man. You got to enjoy the moment though, because Carolina was by far the best 3 years of my life, no question. I don't care amount of money I made, where I did in the NBA. It was easily the best years of my life. Lifelong friends. We still talk every day, so they got to enjoy that.
I thought for a second you just said I don't care about the amount of money that I made when I was at North Carolina. I was like, ooh, spill that tea, Henson.
Hey, look, man, those jokes are long gone, man. Look, I was a law-abiding student under Roy Williams. Put that on the record.
Listen, I hate the fact that I have to agree with Jeff again and Henson again, but they're right. You got to buy Duke at this point. You got to hold Kentucky, and I think you have to sell North Carolina, although I do kind of I want to see where they go from here. Let's see what happens now that they got a little bit of confidence. Listen, there's a lot to get to still. We got to get all the way around the Big 12. We got to talk about Villanova losing to Creighton. But the craziest shot of the day, we haven't even gotten to that next. We're going to talk about it on the other side of the break.
Clear for 90.
There we go. First comment.
The Henson meme dance. What is the meme? You got a meme?
Doing my story, I got the Tar Heel dance and the swag surf. That's our new intro song.
First of all, Jeff has entered the YouTube chat to say hit the like button, so you know how badly we need people to hit the like button. Please.
All right, that's right. Let's go, people. Button. Come on, do it for me. Come on.
That's going to drive likes down.
That's All right, what do we got, Trevor?
Someone did say Diet Coke and lemon Oreos. Goodman is a menace to America. Just had to.
No.
Who wins Big East Player of the Year?
Big East?
Yep.
It's Tyler Kolek to me.
Yeah, winning, best player on the winning team. That's generally what I go with, unless it's something so outlandish. I'm going Kolek.
He's the engine of maybe the most dangerous offensive team in college basketball. I think it's got to be him.
I don't know if you guys are going to hit on this, but lots of people saying thoughts on Kentucky's win over Auburn.
Dominant.
We're
holding them. We're holding on to them. We're holding on to them.
We'll get to that in the afters. We'll talk a little bit.
Auburn stinks, just so we know. We'll hold on to that too.
Trevor, ask that again in the afters.
Okay.
20 seconds.
Which conference tournament do you guys find most interesting for this week? One of the mid-major ones.
Is it Valley starting this week?
It is.
Yes.
Yes, Valley.
10
Valley.
seconds.
Drake, Bradley.
Arch Madness, baby.
5, 2, 1. Mike's hot.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Dauster, John Henson, Jeff Goodman. We are streaming live on YouTube. You can jump in the chat. We're going to be in the afters in about 8 minutes. We're going to have a little Q&A session there. You can ask us questions. We will try to answer them to the best of our ability. Sirius XM Channel 84. That is College Sports Radio. We are, of course, presented by our partners at Bet River Sportsbook. Goodman, where'd you go to college?
The University of Arizona. The
So you're
academic.
U of A grad. So I'm going to go to you first on this one. Your Wildcats lost a heartbreaker on one of the craziest shots that we are going to see all of college basketball. Desmond Cambridge from, what would you say, John, about 55 feet, not quite 3/4 court, a little bit beyond half court. And yeah, nailed
They're
it.
partying down there.
89.
They're partying down there with that shot. They're partying right now. They got him at the bar lifted up like a king.
Oh yeah. They're trying right now. They're doing beer pong shots on the other side of the bar to try to match that. Goodman, did Arizona State punch their ticket? Are they in? Are they dancing now?
No, but they're on the bubble now. They're firmly on the bubble, and that's good. I like this. I mean, I like Bobby Hurley a lot, and I think again, they're kind of a product of their expectations now. After he took that program to where they went to 2 straight tournaments, they were set to go to a third when COVID shut them down, and then they had 2 brutal seasons. One coming out of COVID with Josh Christopher and Marcus Bagley, 2 highly rated guys that honestly, I think Bobby Hurley's realized like he does better without those dudes. And this team was great for a while. Then they've been brutal, starting with a loss against UCLA at home. It kind of started to sputter over the last month or so. This is a big one because they still have UCLA and USC left. And if they can get a split, I think you just need a split. And then you're probably talking like first 4-ish if you win one game in the Pac-12 tourney, which they could win. They get to the finals of the Pac-12 tourney.
Well, here's the thing. They need to split next weekend, right? I don't think that you can get in without at least one more win over those 2 teams, right? And then you just can't have a shitty loss somewhere in the Pac-12 tournament. Like if you're going to lose, get knocked out by Arizona, get knocked out by UCLA. Don't get knocked out by Stanford, right? Don't let Cal beat you in the Pac-12 tournament. John, are you worried about Arizona?
A little bit. That was even if you look at that play, yes, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10 they missed that shot, but it was like a little lack of urgency on that shot. Didn't really put his hand up. Kind of thought it was over. Thought it was done. So maybe that's kind of indicative of what they're dealing with. A little lack of sense of urgency. You're out west. You're not getting a lot of love. Ready to get this tournament thing going, and it bit him in the ass tonight. Terrific shot by the Arizona State as well. That puts them back in contention for the tournament. So they could have snuffed them out with that loss, but that's why college basketball has just been like that this year. So Arizona State has new life. They can split these last 2 games. It'll be fun to see them in their first 4. I don't know what year that was when was Remy Martin there when they were in the first 4 out there, and it was a fun game to watch.
Mm-hmm. All right, Goodman, West Coast power rankings: Arizona, UCLA, and Gonzaga. Gonzaga right now, by the way, is up 63-54 over St. Mary's in the Kennel. They have more or less controlled this game. St. Mary's got it within 6. Yeah. They were down by as much as, I think it was 18 in the first half. Power rank those 3 for me.
I'm going to add 2 more, and we're going to do 5 on the West Coast. We're going to add St. Mary's and San Diego State.
Okay.
San
Diego State's in a barn burner right now. They're up by 2 in the Pitt with 3 minutes left.
That's what I'm saying. I think you'd say all 5 are locks to make the tournament. I would go UCLA 1. I would go Gonzaga 2, Arizona 3,
wow,
San Diego State 4, St. Mary's 5 for me.
Real safe. Real safe.
Why
real safe
why
odds.
Gonzaga over Arizona? Talk me through that one.
I just don't know if Arizona can guard. Like I've said this all year. Like playing these two bigs to get to Bellis just isn't very good defensively. And you put him and Ballo out there. I don't think it works in the tournament. I think it works in the Pac-12. That's fine. But what did they give up today against Arizona State? A lot of points. Whatever. I don't know what the final was. I can't remember. But it's a lot.
89.
So yeah, I just and I like how this Gonzaga team is riding into form right now. I know they're not killing St. Mary's. They're up 7 with about 5 minutes left. But, Strother's played great over the last 4 games. Hickman playing better. He just made a nice floater in the lane. Bolton's capable. Watson's played well. They haven't needed like all-world Drew Timme lately. And that's what this team needs to be. To go, I could see them going to an Elite 8. Wouldn't shock me at all.
Shocked me a little bit.
I think the gauntlet that Gonzaga went through early in the season is benefiting them. They know their flaws. They know they can be beat, and they're just like tonight. They're kind of, St. Mary's came back and they kind of held it down, and looks like they're going to cruise to a win, but we don't know, obviously, with the college basketball. But I like those rankings, Jeff. Those are kind of on par with what I would say.
Yeah.
I really like St. Mary's. They're just not good enough, so I like those.
I think St. Mary's is like a year away, right?
Yeah.
You get sophomore and junior year Aiden Mahaney is when things are really going to explode.
And Marciulionis. I think Marciulionis is a key for them.
Yep.
He's got to be. I thought he would take a bigger jump than he did, but when Logan Johnson leaves and he's been around forever, I think that'll open it up for Marciulionis.
I can't believe he's still there. He's the dude this year for me. That's like, wasn't he there in like 2013? I'm pretty sure he was.
Cincy. Remember he started his career at Cincy.
Yeah, when he took as a recruiting visit to North Carolina, John Henson was his host.
He was playing with Belly back then.
Yeah, that's how old he is. I more or less agree with all your takes there. All right. Let me ask you real quick on this one, Henson. UCLA, do they have a chance to get up to that 1 seed line? You got about 15 seconds.
Yeah, I think they do. I think if they can make a strong run through the tournament in these last few games, I think when Purdue kind of falters maybe one more time, I think you got to push on to the number 1 line. They've been quietly going about their business. So I love that about them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think that it's going to come down to beating Arizona in the last game of the regular season. You got to get that one if you want to get up to the 1 seed line, in my mind, if you're UCLA. I would not be surprised to see them do it. Listen, this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. For John Henson, for Jeff Goodman, my name is Rob Dauster. We are here every night during the season, 11 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. West Coast time for you West Coasters. So we will see you guys again tomorrow night, 11 p.m.
And we're clear.
All right. It is the afters. We got a lot.
You got better, Rob. You definitely got better with
time there. I just had to get into the rhythm. Look, I'm not a first half player, man. I'm not a first break teaser. I might go 0 for 7 in the first half, but you need me in crunch time, I'm there. You need me in crunch time, I'm getting you buckets. You need me in crunch time, I'm there with the teases, Goodman. That's what matters. All right, Trevor, what do we got?
Rob was Terrence Shannon Jr. this week with his teases. We have.
Yeah, there you go.
Bingo. I'll be TJ Shannon.
He didn't show up from the beginning, but.
No, I don't show. You don't need me until there's about 15 minutes left. That's when I shine.
All right, we have so many things to get to that I almost just kind of want to hit on games with you guys like PTI style or something here. So we'll start again with Kentucky. Lots of people asking about Kentucky's blowout over Auburn.
Goodman, go ahead.
Jeff. I don't think anything of Auburn. So to me, it's like, you're at home. Now, I know that, listen, this is a team that lost to South Carolina. So nothing's guaranteed for this Kentucky team. But, Auburn to me is a team that honestly should be right on the bubble right now. If you look at their resume, I don't understand why their numbers are better than they are because they have done nothing this season for the most part. Very little. So, but Kentucky's playing well. Oscar was dominant today. He's got to be dominant. Reeves made shots today. Wallace was good. As long as they get that, and they dominated on the glass. They crushed. They were so much tougher. But Auburn's just not. They're not very good. It's not very good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at the Tennessee game at halftime, Coach Kyle said something that kind of stuck with me. He was like, if they want to play this type of physical bang, bang type game, we can do that. We can do that. So if you're going to Kentucky thinking you're going to just bully, bang them on the boards, and it's going to be a long night for you. So tonight was one of those nights where Kentucky had a game that was geared toward what they were good at.
So I was impressed with this. And the reason I was impressed with them in this game is that we haven't seen Kentucky just beat the ever-loving shit out of anybody this year. Like, it happened against Louisville, right? That was the last time they just beat the brakes off someone. They went up against an opponent that you probably should beat, that is overmatched at home, and just run them off the floor. We've seen them struggle with, like, at Florida, not play great. They jumped out early. Florida came all the way back, took the lead in the second half. We saw them struggle at Mississippi State, right? They didn't look great at home against Florida, right? They didn't look great at Mississippi. This was a team that they should beat, that they just beat the absolute brakes off of. And to me, that says a lot about you if you just completely overwhelm someone. And that's kind of what we expected Kentucky to do a lot more this year.
Tennessee did a lot of that this year, but again.
Yeah, but like we know about their flaws. And I'm not saying that Kentucky is like a top 5 team again, right? But I do think that that when you got to be able to have this in your arsenal. Especially when you get to March, you got to play 3 straight weekends and 2 games in 3 days, right? I don't know. I was impressed by that. They won 4 in a row. They've won 10 of their last 13. You got to sweep with Tennessee in there. You got to win over Texas A&M, who, by the way, lost. Kind of came back down to earth at Mississippi State. So I'm in on them. To me, if we're doing like an SEC power rankings, obviously Alabama's number 1. And then to me, it's like Kentucky or Arkansas. Flip a coin, whoever you think is better there. I don't really have a take on either one of them, but
I'm not sure Alabama's clear-cut one with all this shit going on right now, by the way. Like honestly, scratch everything off that's happened before last week. And this is now a new situation for the Crimson Tide. I just don't know. And then you're going to put these dudes up there in the NCAA tournament on the podium, getting these questions, 4 freshmen that play a lot of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this team's going to react.
It's not easy.
Right.
Not easy. All right, Trevor, what do we got next?
Going off that one real quick, Drew asks, over under 3 SEC teams in the Sweet 16.
Under.
Yeah, I would say under because to me, Auburn, no shot. I'm not buying Missouri.
So I'm not taking Tennessee there.
I'm not taking Tennessee. So you got Alabama, Arkansas, A&M, Kentucky, and A&M I'm still kind of wishy-washy on.
Under.
I'm going to go under 3 too.
Yeah, I'll go under.
Villanova upsets Creighton. Is Villanova back?
They've been kind of an enigma to me this year because it's kind of like, you stop paying attention, all of a sudden they put it on teams. They always had that potential, so don't know if they're back. It's a little late in the game, and they're going to be in a tough spot seeding-wise, but I think next year's the year for Villanova to really kind of come back on. And
if Justin Moore comes back.
And
that'll be the key. But they listen, you again, no, Chris Arcidiacono is not Ryan Arcidiacono, right? So ultimately, they didn't really have a point guard for most of the year. Now you throw in Justin Moore, and early on, Justin Moore, obviously it's going to take time. You're coming back from an Achilles. So he's not going to be the same player. But just his presence and a threat offensively, which Chris Arcidiacono is no threat offensively, makes all the difference in the world for everybody else out there. Because you've got to press up on Justin Moore, no matter what. Even if he's just standing there, he's a threat on the court. So, I'm glad they've been able to do this, and I'm glad for Kyle Neptune because he was getting crushed for a situation that honestly was brutal for him to walk into.
Mm-hmm. I'm all the way back in on him. I'm all the way back in.
I don't know if they can win the Big East tournament, but you know what they can do? Get to the semis. Can they get to the semis and make it interesting?
Excuse me. Here's what they have left. At Seton Hall. Seton Hall is a complete train wreck right now. UConn at home, last day of the regular season, and they're probably going to end up being the 6th seed in the Big East tournament, which means they play Georgetown in the first round, and then they get Providence, most likely, maybe Xavier, in the quarterfinals, and then they got to get the number 2 seed, which will probably end up being Creighton. Maybe I don't know. However it ends up shaking out, you're going to have to beat 3 of the top 5 teams to be able to win the Big East tournament title. They beat 2 of them and get this win over Creighton with the win at Xavier and Creighton that they just got. They got a chance. Like if you
MK, he did not walk into a Final Four roster. He didn't have Cam Whitmore healthy at the beginning. He didn't have Justin Moore for 3/4 of the season. He didn't have a point guard. You can't win with Chris Arcidiacono as your friggin' point guard.
They were running offense for Eric Dixon.
Right.
They were running pin downs for Eric Dixon on final possessions. Their center. I know he hit 6 today, but when your best offense is running a pin down for your 6'7", 265-pound center, like, you need a guy. Justin Moore's there. 8 assists, no turnovers today. They played against the best defense in the Big East. 14 assists, 3 turnovers. Put up 79 on them in 62 possessions. That's very, very good for those scoring at home.
Trevor, what do you got, Trevor?
UConn drops almost 100 against St. John's. Rob's thoughts on UConn?
They looked very good. St. John's is very bad.
Yeah.
So, like,
who should St. John's hire if they fire Mike Anderson? That's the biggest question. Who should they hire, Rob?
Ooh. I mean, you know my answer.
Yeah, but he's not taking it.
The guy up in New Rochelle.
He's not going to take it. Let's say the combination, they're either not going to offer it to him or he's not going to take it. So let's take him out of the equation. Who do you hire?
If you want to go with like a big name, right? I think Bobby Hurley is interesting because of the New York ties, because he's an East Coast guy, NBA pedigree. If you want to know who I would take a very long look at, and I don't know what you're going to think about this, but I think his personality really fits for what you would want out of like a New York fan base. That's Jared Grasso at Bryant. He knows how to kind of develop a fan base. He's won. He gets guys that want to play hard, that plays a style. I'm out. Good. Get him out of here. Trevor, what do we got next?
Wow. All right, let's pivot to Big 12. Sean asked, how many Big 12 teams will make the dance?
Shit, with 8 or 9, I haven't did my count, but we were sitting at 8 or 9, right?
I think right now you got 6 locks. All right, so let's walk through this, John. Let's walk through this. Kansas is dancing, Texas is dancing, Baylor is dancing, Kansas State is dancing, TCU is dancing, Iowa State is dancing. Oklahoma State, not a great loss today, but they were, last I checked, they were in the playing game.
Iowa State?
No, Oklahoma State was a playing game.
Is Iowa State in there? Is Iowa State a lock? No.
Yeah.
Did we say are they in our six?
Yeah, they were in there. Iowa State's in there.
Okay.
Losing to Kansas State at home is not the worst loss, but Oklahoma State has some work to do. They might be able to get in. And then I don't know, man. I think it's 7 is where you're capped at this point. And it might only end up being 6 just because, like, you got 4 teams in that league with 13 losses right now, and you still got a week left of the regular season.
New Mexico might have just beat San Diego State.
Yep. Goodman, how many teams from the Big 12 are getting
in? Kansas, Baylor, Texas, K-State, Iowa State.
We literally just did this.
So that's 6. I would say Oklahoma State 7. I'm going to go 8. I'll say West Virginia or Texas Tech. One of them gets in.
8.
Right. One of them will go deep enough in the Big 12 tournament to get in.
Someone needs to make a run, yeah. Hey, do you have any info on Keontae George? Any updates?
Yeah, they're going to do tests tomorrow, but they don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, he walked down the tunnel, so that's good news. What do you think their ceiling is, John? Baylor.
I love watching them play personally. I to make a run. I mean, if they're healthy, Tshiebwe adds an element to them that solidifies them off the bench, and I mean their guard play. They're never going to be out of it. I mean, they can play, especially with Keontae George out there as well. So I can see them making a run, similar to kind of the year where we didn't really expect much of them when they got to the Final Four. They're Final Four able. We'll call that Final Fourable.
Final Four.
Dauster. Former Carolina bigs not being able to pronounce Shibwe's name right.
Is it Shibwe? Is that how you say it?
Shibwe, yeah.
Shibwe, just Shibwe. There's no like tuh.
It's not Shibwe.
Shibwe, yeah, just Shibwe. It just started with sh.
Shibwe. All right, my bad, Shibwe. Hit a 3 today
All
as
right.
well. Shout out to
I
him.
know it's confusing, but you and Hansborough, man, we had to tutor both of you on this one.
You
I'm
expect
sure
that
you've been tutored a lot. Hey, I'm sure you've been tutored a lot in Chapel Hill.
It's amazing to think about the fact that this day was so crazy that we had a top 10 matchup in the Big 12 that allowed Kansas to take over sole possession of first place in the conference, and we're just getting to it now, an hour and 10 minutes into the show.
True.
What do you make? What do you make of that, Jeff? Texas was up 23-11. It looked like they were going to be able to win, and San Diego State just wanted the buzzer.
No, they did not.
Yeah, they just wanted the buzzer.
Oh my goodness! Oh, that's a brutal loss for New Mexico. They just had that game won.
What a wild finish, Trevor! Make sure we get a Trevor.
Yeah.
Drop that into the socials chat.
That is going to cost. Look at Richard Pitino.
Oh man, brutal.
Man.
Because New Mexico scored 5 points in 10 seconds to take the lead.
Yep.
What a wild finish. What a shot.
Butler from
went coast to coast.
Plenty of time.
Bang.
Like that was a beautiful shot. Holy crap. That's a big win. Big win and probably a loss that keeps New Mexico out.
Hey, I love that he hit that shot.
Yeah.
And then just stood there.
Yep.
He didn't move. He just stood there like, yeah, what of it? John, you watching this? You see this?
That's a hit.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the Arizona. Like, you let him get into a rhythm hang dribble. That's what he works on.
Yeah, you can't let him do that. Where's he going? Like, why are you
biting on that? He didn't even have his hand up.
Yeah, why are you biting on that?
Oh, got him. No, that's that hezzy. You can't do nothing with that. Stuck in quicksand.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. My favorite Mark Jackson saying. My favorite Mark Jackson saying is that the hand down, man down.
Hand down, man down.
He didn't even check. Man.
They're checking to make sure.
The defensive coach told me one thing that'll stick with me forever. A challenge shot goes down 18%. 18%. A challenge shot goes down 18%.
Yeah. And what's an uncontested shot go down?
Probably, I'm assuming close to 50. I mean, uncontested.
Maybe even higher, depending where it is. Yeah.
All right. Can we talk about Baylor and Texas real quick?
Yeah.
We got to get to that. We got to talk about that.
Let's do it. I mean, Baylor dug themselves a huge hole, but, listen, they had lost 2 in a row. Needed it. I think we all realize Texas has played a little bit over its head. Mm-hmm. And no offense to Rodney Terry, but he's not Scott Drew as a coach. So I'll take Baylor, Scott Drew. And there was a guards, like, that was the one thing with this game. Like, there's so many good guards on those two teams. But I think ultimately Baylor's got 3 of them, and they won with 2 of them because Keontae George missed, the good portion of the game. So
that was what stood out to me.
Yeah.
Was nothing to do with Texas. Like I don't think you can expect to win on the road at Baylor. You know what I mean?
Right.
What stood out to me was that Keontae George played 6 minutes. Right. LJ Cryer was, I'm doing the math right now, 2 for 7 from the floor. Adam Flagler was fine, 5 for 13, didn't play great. And they still found a way to win. Yeah. Jalen Bridges was really good. Flo Thamba had a double-double, right? Langston Love.
I told you all year, like Jalen Bridges,
he buoyed.
To me, is the X factor for that team.
Yeah, he buoyed them today. He kind of, when things got shaky, he kind of.
He's the key. He's the key. If he plays like he did today, man, they got a chance. They got an absolute chance, and they did a good job on Timmy Allen in this one. Disu went off. That was the one thing. To me, again, still, Everyday John's not what he was, and he's not going to be what he was. He missed so much time, but he'll help. He'll help with Flo Thamba. They wanted to play the young kid nearly as much.
Yeah, it's just minutes, right? Eat up minutes. Come in there, be big, be in the right spot, give a pick and pop threat. He doesn't really have to do much more than that. Just kind of 15 minutes a game is really all you need out of him.
Yep.
I think. What else from the Big 12? We talked about. I want to ask
Texas Tech. Are they out? Are they done?
They got to win out. They got to win out to have a chance.
Oh, that means they're going to be Kansas at Kansas.
Yes, they got to do
They
that.
deserve
Good luck.
Kansas to Kansas. Put them in.
Well, yeah, that's their game. But if they had won today, then you're talking about not even having to beat Kansas at Kansas, just holding at the end, beat Oklahoma State at home in the final game, and then you got your 7 league wins, which is enough. That's enough to get you in right now. To me, in the Big 12. Now you put the pressure on. Either you have to win at Kansas, or you have to go to like the finals of the Big 12 tourney, which is going to be hard.
Yeah. I mean, they got to make a run. They got to. I think they have to win out. They have to win at Kansas. They have to beat Oklahoma State, and then they still got to win a game. Because you got to remember, man, like their best win in non-conference play is like they got 2 high major wins, Louisville and Georgetown.
Right.
And their next best win after that is like Eastern Washington. They beat nobody.
No, you're right. You're
right. Nobody.
Yep.
Well, I guess they won at LSU too. So they got the worst team in the SEC, the worst team in the ACC, and the worst team in the Big East. It's a hell of a non-conference resume for you right there. I'm really worried about Iowa State. Like, really.
Well, the bottom fell out.
Yeah.
I mean, no surprise, right?
No,
not really.
I thought they would hang on a little bit better than this, right? Like they've lost 5 out of 6, 3 in a row, 5 out of 6, 6 out of 8. And after a 4-0 start, they've now lost 8 of their last 12 games in league play. And oh, by the way, you get West Virginia at home, and then you got to go to Baylor. So you could end up at 8-10 in the Big 12 this year. Rough.
Big 12.
Rough. There's only so much you can do with a great defense, right? You got to have someone that can get you.
Listen, the fact that they're in the tournament and a lock, they don't even have to worry on Selection Sunday. If I had told you that at the beginning of the year, you would have been like, you know what? Where do I sign if you're TJ Otzelberger?
Are they a lead pipe lock though? Do you think?
I do. Yep.
17-11. If they lose out, they're 17-13. They lose in the first round of the tournament, 17-14.
Lock.
No matter what they're in.
Lock.
No questions asked.
None.
Yeah, they are a 4 seed right now. That is wild.
They are a lock.
17-11, 8-8, and they're a 4 seed. That's wild.
Well, they did a lot in the non-conference.
Wild. Yeah, they did. That is true. That is true. What else we got?
All right, here's an interesting one. If you have any, who are your Sweet 16 free squares, independent of matchup? Who are you penciling into your Sweet 16?
That's easy. I mean, I got two that in Houston and Kansas that I'm going to pencil in I'll probably pencil them in the Final Four, almost no matter what. Again, I've said this over and over. This is a coach's bracket for me this year. More than ever before, I'm going to look at coaches and put teams through because I don't think there's a big difference in talent, or as big a difference in talent as usual. So I'm going to go Houston and Kansas for sure. I don't know on the third one yet. The third one,
I'll go UCLA for my third. I'll go those two.
Me too.
UCLA.
Me too. Yeah, those 3. I like those 3. Those are the 3 that I feel the best about probably right now.
I don't think that I would pencil Kansas in. Kansas, to me, I kind of want to see what their second round matchup is going to end up being, because I think that they are the one seed that I think has the most vulnerabilities in terms of, if you can kind of get DeJuan Harris out of his game, if you can kind of limit some of their other pieces. I like UCLA more in terms of what they're like a high floor. I don't think that they have as high of a ceiling as Kansas does. I'm a little bit worried about them there, but I mean, you're probably mostly right. But look, Alabama with everything that's going on,
Let's go with the 4th. Let's say Houston, Kansas, UCLA. Like, give a wild card-ish one that's not a top 1 or a 2 seed right now that you love, that you just feel good about.
All right, so our 3 seeds: Gonzaga, Tennessee, Kansas State, and Marquette. Our 4 seeds: Iowa State, Virginia, UConn, and Indiana.
Not easy. It's not easy, right?
It's definitely not Virginia and Iowa State. Definitely not Tennessee for me. I probably will not have Gonzaga. That's a match.
I'm going to go Michigan State. I am. Izzo. I'm going to go coaches again. Now, Cronin hasn't really – he's the one probably coach you'd question.
He had a Final Four out of a playing game. So
He did. Yes, he's been to a Final Four. He's been to a Final Four.
That's a wild. So okay. I see
Is
what
that
you're
crazy?
doing. No, not at all. Not at all. They got the 2 guards and they got a great coach. Like that's what you kind of got to look for
Yes.
teams to make a run.
And
2
Akins
guards
is
and a great
playing
coach.
well. Akins is playing well now. And
You know what I'm going to go with? You're going to
how
laugh
many
at me.
teams? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you're going to laugh at me when I say this, but I'm
UConn. I'm going to go with UConn.
I am. People think I'm a homer when I say it.
Well, you are a homer. You are a homer.
I am, but I was down on UConn before a lot of people were down on UConn.
You hated.
I was also
the roller coaster we're living with you and UConn is fucking miserable.
It's not I never talked to you about UConn at all. Like maybe like once a week. The reasons I talk to you about UConn are not for public consumption. Right? Is that fair?
Sure.
Yes. No, but I think that with Andre Jackson when he's playing with confidence, Tristan Newton is aggressive. Those are the 2 things that they needed, right? That's what they were missing. They've embraced this idea that Jordan Hawkins is their best player. And Adamo Sanogo is kind of like, he is fine being like, look, just give me 8 shots.
Okay.
Give me enough touches where I can get to the free throw line 8 times. I'm going to get me my 16 and 8. I'm going to get me my 16 and 9. And I will be the release valve. You guys do everything else. I'm just going to be here. They got some bench production today. Like they're back to being what they were. And I will give Hurley the credit for this. He has gotten way more creative than I thought he would in finding ways to make it work when nobody guards Andre Jackson.
Yeah.
Using things like making him be the screener. They've been playing him at the 4. Like in their offense, he was the 3 and Alex Caravan was the 4, and they flip-flopped those 2. So now he's in all the actions as the 4. They put him in the dunker spot. And they got him in the corner, and what they basically told him is every time you're in the corner and your guy looks the other way, run straight to the rim, and someone's going to throw it up to you. He got 3 lobs today doing that. And they've really embraced this idea of finding ways to get Sonogo at the top of the key and to get pin downs on either side and just let him work one-on-one without any help. Force guys to guard him. He's gotten really creative, and that's been good to see. So he's been kind of stubborn about doing stuff in the past. That's why I'm very much in on them. But someone said Jim Calhoun is not walking through that door. Ben from Kentucky. Well, Ben, like, you really want to talk about that? You really want to talk about that? You really want me to mention who the last UConn coach to beat Kentucky in the Final Four was? You want to have that conversation? Should we have that conversation?
No, we don't need to have that conversation.
Okay.
We definitely don't.
Connor said, do you think Charleston deserves an at-large if they don't win the conference tourney but have the most wins of any team in the country?
You know, if you look at their as much as I would like to say yes, and I'm still in favor of the following deal. I would, of the final 8 teams in, let's say there are 12 teams on the bubble. I would have the best 4 high majors play the best 4 mids at that point. So that's how I would do it. I know they'll never do it that way, but I think it would be more fun. Charleston's resume probably does not warrant that they get in with an at-large, but I would like to see them in. They're a fun story. I spent a lot of time with them down there. But I don't think they.
I got a question for you guys. So this is one of my hot takes, and I don't know if anyone else will agree with me on this. But if they expand the tournament, I would not be opposed to it if the expansion was regular season champions, you get an automatic bid to the tournament, and then you play for whoever wins the conference tournament gets an automatic bid. And if it's the regular season champion, then they avoid a playing game. So they automatically get into the field of 64. Does that make sense?
Sort of. It's a little season convoluted.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit more difficult to bracket, and it'll be a little bit like you kind of have moving parts there. But it makes it so that the regular season champion gets in the tournament. You have more likely to have mid-majors go on Cinderella runs because you're getting the best teams from the mid-major leagues in, and that way it kind of limits how many if it goes to 80, you're not just going to get 12 more bad power conference teams. You're going to get some more potential Cinderellas in there and more interesting teams that people want to see.
Good work. Call him up.
I'm trying, man. Let me get Mark Emmert on the phone. When was the last time anyone heard from Mark Emmert, by the way? Is he still alive? Do we know?
We're going to hear one more time in about
He's probably in Bahamas with the FTX guys.
In about a month, we'll see him for the final time.
Right.
Have to hear his
Mark Emmert. Mark Emmert and Sam Bankman-Fried are just
they're just hanging out at the beach like, we got him.
Marshall said, can we get the guys' thoughts on Proctor and Roach? They always bring up Duke, but don't talk about the backcourt.
They've been good. They've been better than I thought they would be. Roach looks healthy, and Proctor looks like a kid that's supposed to be a high school senior that is finally figuring out what it takes to be a freshman.
Proctor looks good. He's developing. He's growing up before our eyes. Roach is doing what he needs to do. He's hitting shots. He's playing well. He's getting the big boys involved as well. I see a little emphasis on him getting lively involved a little bit with the lob. So I kind of like.
Proctor's going to be good, man. Proctor's going to be. I hope he comes back for another year because I think he can be really good next year. Really, like their backcourt could be really good next year.
He has to, right?
Is he not old enough? Is that what you're saying? Is that why?
Sure. His birthday is, I think it's April 1st, 2004. I got to do some math.
I don't know. If
he might be old enough.
I'm not sure if he's 19 or not, but I thought he was.
He turns 19 on April 1st.
Yeah, so he can do it. He can go, and honestly, with his size, ability to shoot it, and also ability to play the point. I mean, I know he hasn't shot it.
He should come back. He should come back.
Well, yeah, because he could turn himself into a lottery pick.
Yeah, he should come back.
He just hasn't shot it like well at all. But yeah, they need another year. Like, I don't know who they bring. I mean, Filipowski, I would assume leaves. He should. You think Filipowski Henson is a first rounder with his skill set?
I love him for some reason. I don't know what the NBA translation for him is because he's not going to be a high volume usage guy at the NBA level. So like, I don't see him mid post, squaring up Kevin Durant, right? But I do think there is a role for him, and his stock is literally going to be as high as it's ever going to be. So he has to leave.
Yes,
he has to leave.
That's why I would say
he has to leave. I mean, he's maxed out his potential. He's a potential early, mid, late first rounder. I mean, you got to go. They pay a lot of money for those picks these days.
Yep. Mark Mitchell. Well, do you think Mark Mitchell leaves Goodman?
Where's he going?
Just asking.
Overseas? I mean, no, he's got to come back. Yeah, got to come back.
Are there any? Well, we know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Are there any teams you think could be like Georgetown in 2021 who make a sudden run to win the conference tournament and get in the tournament?
Two for me. Texas Tech and Villanova. We already talked about that.
North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina could. You just got to Oregon. You got to look for a league that's not that strong. And I'm not sure Oregon can do it, but they've got guards now and they got Dana Altman. So, you need some help too. You need an upset or something like that kind of clears your side of the bracket to get to the finals. I mean, listen, the AAC's only got one, like if Houston loses, which I don't know who's beating them, but like who else is in that league that can?
Memphis isn't at large right now.
They're like close though, right?
Yeah, they're an 11 seed on ours. Where are they on bracket matrix? I'll bring that up right now. Yeah, bracket matrix are the top 11 seed, which means like they have 5 below them.
They just can't lose another. If they beat Houston at home, they're in. Obviously,
yeah. They beat Houston, they're in.
By the way, I'm still watching the show and the replay of the McCaffrey thing. The fact that Kelly Pfeiffer did not throw him out is a joke. Seriously, when somebody does that, how do you not toss him, Henson?
And he's been known for his antics, so it's not like they're like not prepared for him. They know he's a funny guy.
I would have done one of two things. I would have either tossed him, or I would have went even closer to him and got right up in his face and stared him down back with him. One of those two.
Have a tech.
I don't know. I don't know if he already had one or not.
I can't believe you didn't get anything. Like, how do you not get anything for that?
Well, it allowed me to cover. Shout out to the ref.
I do not see any text in the box score, by the way. I'm going to throw this one in for my own amusement. Nebraska is over 500 and has a better Big Ten record than Ohio State and Wisconsin. What's going on with Nebraska?
I don't know. I mean, they're still mediocre. Like look at their overall record. I mean,
they need the NIL package.
They're fine.
They need the NIL package. They need a good NIL package.
They do. They got money there. They got crazy money there.
Yeah.
And they got good facilities. They've been better this year, and they're probably going to now. Hoiberg's owed $10 million as part of a restructured deal a year ago. He's still owed about $10 million. So, and he's a great dude. So I would assume Trev Alberts, their AD there, keeps him for one more now. And you should now.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the ACC Player of the Year?
That's a good question.
My head's about to explode. Let's see.
Didn't we do this?
Player of the Year.
Burton.
No, we did Big East.
No, I said Burton.
Yeah, but you said Burton, but you said Big East, and you meant.
I know.
ACC.
Well, because I
From
was
Pitt, right? I mean, you got to go on
on
someone
my
on Pitt,
mind.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's if Pitt wins it, Burton's carried him. I would go him. I might go him, even if they don't win it.
I don't know.
He's been great. I mean, come on, he's been awesome.
He's been really good.
Really good. Well, who else are you going with? Who do you want to go with? Isaiah Wong? He's been good, but not better than Burton.
Burton for sure. By no one else.
Michael Filipowski, like averaging a double-double.
I mean, he's first team though.
I don't know. No one. I think they should retroactively give somebody else the award from like 2 years ago.
We'll give it to Henson from 10 years.
Retroactively give it to Henson.
Give it to Harrison Barnes. Did he ever win it?
He won it that year. Z had a crazy year that year.
Sophomore.
Senior year.
Huh?
It was Z's senior year, HB's sophomore year.
Yeah. That's right.
Trevor, anything else?
Someone asked what Houston can do without Sasser, but he did come back in the game, so that's not.
He's okay.
He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. I'm trying to think of any other interesting questions today.
I mean, Jeff's in the YouTube chat.
About 2 minutes from a long bathroom break.
All right, well, let's get the toast.
Let's do our toast then. Go ahead, Henson. Do your toast.
Hood Shafino, he carried them boys in Mackey. Impressive. Definitely popped up on my radar as an NBA prospect. So, shout out to him. I think he's only good things are, up for him. So cheers, my Fiji.
All right. Dylan Hood Shafino.
Cheers. Go ahead, Goodman.
Bobby Hurley. They go in hard to win at McHale, man. Tommy Lloyd's record at McHale, 32-1 going into the game. Bobby Hurley needed this one desperately. He got it, and now it gives him a chance. It gives him two interesting games, UCLA and USC on the road. I think, again, if they split, then you go into the Pac-12 tournament, you got a chance. So, Bobby, cheers.
Cheers. All right.
So, San Jose State today beat Boise State in overtime to move to 17-12 in the season and 8-8 in the Mountain West. Prior to this year, they'd been in the Mountain West for 9 seasons. In those 9 seasons, they had 20 wins combined in the league. The last time that San Jose State had more than 8 wins or more than 7 wins, last time they hit 8 wins in conference play was in 1996. That was 2 conferences ago. That was when they were still in the Big West, before they moved into the WAC, before they moved into the Mountain West. Moreover, the last time today they clinched a 500 record, finishing above 500 this season. In the last 35 years, since 1987, they've only finished above 500 twice. So my toast of the night goes out to head coach Tim Miles, the first Field of 68 alum to get back into the head coaching job. I hope you drink 100 Coors Lights tonight, Timmy. So to you, man, happy for you. I'm excited to see what you can get going with those Spartans. So for John Henson, for Jeff Goodman, for producer Trevor, for who's your daddy?
For your shitty teases. Hey,
go check it out.
Shitty ass teases.
For my shitty ass teases. This has been the Field of 68 After Dark. We'll see you guys again